Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons.
Thank you for your support. Enjoy the video.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Rogues Guild. We have another gauntlet for you guys. We are actually doing a very good job of hitting this every other weekend. It's been fantastic. So this time we are giving our boy Patrick Ogrins a chance to prove his might. Patrick has been a die-hard Isis dedicated ruler like for the last year and a half, and finally I think he's on to something.
Yeah.
It's no
he was still
longer
playing it back during Shamimi and Hanzo format.
he was playing it as soon as it was released. He was like, I see you guys winning with Kirik, but I'll stick with my Isis.
It was scary back then.
I tell you what, but now we are getting into where this Isis could be a lot more viable than what we had ever given it credit before. So I hope you guys stick around, enjoy the ride. I'm excited. A little bit of a backstory that I can give you on Patrick Ogrins. Patrick Ogrins loves to play whatever he loves to play. Okay? He is not a meta deck player. He never will be. If his deck that he wants to play is tier 3, this man will show up to a GP with a Rogues Guild jersey on and play tier 3 decks, because that is how dedicated he is. And he told me on the way back from one of our events, he said, Josh, I'm probably never going to win a GP until the deck that I want to play is the deck that is the best deck. Today might be that day. All right. Today might be that day.
Experience it firsthand. Furry Balls, Mita Chan, good to see you too.
Minha, good morning, buddy. Stuart, thanks for the bit, dude. Try hard. So Isis is going to start off with a turn 1 Fiery Vengeance. Good hit on that stone. We only play 4 of the Scorched Bales, so 40% chance of hitting that out the gate. Leading with this against Adam, this is what you're experiencing right now. Is you're seeing Isis, Patrick, and Jeremy on Adam. They've already played this matchup a couple times, and so he knows what he needs to be doing in order to halt Jeremy. So this Acolyte of the Sun, what he's going to do is he's going to pop his Fiery Vengeance to get it back in his hand, and he's going to take out that Acolyte before it can do anything. So a quick 200 life, 1 will, and that's that. Handle the Acolyte, moving on with your turn. In most cases, any kind of answer to the Acolyte would be some form of -1. Right now, I would not say that is correct. With only 200 life being spent, I think Patrick did a very good job of answering that.
Yeah, I agree. It's also neat seeing the Light Vapors come out early for Adam as well. That's going to be significant. I personally think that Adam is a bit more dependent on the blue and the white than it is on the red. Coming out early with the white, so that's going to be interesting to see how we wind up. Dark Alice coming down. Okay.
So Dark Alice has to be coming down off that Energize, which is an interesting use.
Yeah.
I would say
Pitching
that
the Adam, so we did have that. So we've got her online now, but
So Jeremy taking advantage of the fact that his opponent has no answers to this Dark Alice right now. So it's going to stick around for long enough for him to protect it. So we've only discarded an Adam so far. Thinking about what that second discard is going to be. A Raisin Revive. So I've called this before on Jeremy. When he pitches Raisin Revives, it's probably because he has another one in his hand.
yeah,
Probably doubled up on it. Raisin Revive is a very good card, and especially against Isis, since she's running her own Raisin Revives. So
I actually do like the timing of the Dark Alice here because we only have the 1 Fiery Vengeance that will be able to get itself to grave, so we do know Dark Alice is going to be live for quite a while, especially with the 2 Will Up. Now we have blue and we have white to be able to to protect the
It's
Dark
actually
Alice.
5 color, which is important because Adam is
Yeah.
currently in the grave. So there is not any runes flipped. So Kaguya is not live.
Correct.
So I wonder what kind of 2-drop answers he might have. So we're gonna free swing with the Howell pig here. You're gonna.
That's not pig.
That should be very reminiscent for you, Joey. That is exactly what Desert Miner does. Anytime you have a Resonator that has a banish effect that you kind of really like the banish effect more than the Resonator, you get to swing freely. Yay, Desert Miner.
Yeah.
So a no punishment swing here. Unless Jeremy is deciding to do something about this.
Although we have seen a couple pictures of Piggy potentially coming back.
There we go. That's aggressive.
Oh, power of immortality.
Power
Okay.
of Immortality on the Desert Miner
So-
with declared no blocks.
Yep. So we're gonna hit for an extra 4, and then we're
Mhm.
going to wind up banishing our Desert Miner, getting a Moon token, and then we'll be able to get it back.
Mm-hmm. 2 moons.
So is this deck live or die by the Isis Resonator?
Yes. Yes, this deck is still very much live or die by the Isis Resonator. Except that Narla is very powerful, right?
Yeah.
So Narla...
That's what I was wondering about. Is that like an alternate win con to it now?
It's not an alternate win con. Narla is the win con. Isis is never the win
Okay.
con. Isis just helps you get to the win con a lot easier. To Narla. Narla's powerful by herself, and with a lot of the reanimation that we have going on, she is still the win con, and you can get her without Isis.
Right.
The biggest thing that this Isis deck has going for it right now, which is a lot different than the Isis deck had before, is instant speed Isis. Okay?
Yeah, Izanami. I was about to say
Mhm.
that as well. That is
Izanami
so...
and Raisin Revive are 2 instances of reanimation depending on wherever you've put your damn Isis, you know what I mean? Plus, we also have Flame King Shout. Flame King Shout is another fantastic way to get instant speed Isis. So this deck has all of a sudden gotten to a point where it is a lot more versatile with this Isis. It used to be very linear. It's just, I play Isis on 3, and if you stop it, fuck. You know what I mean? So, Dispel on the single moon. Very interesting. Playing the Whispers. So, using the 2 will to Dispel the moon and to Whispers. We are now in Kaguya will. So, interesting choice there. Not to kill the Dark Alice. I felt like that was the play line that Patrick was going for, was some way of end up killing the Dark Alice with his 2 free will that he has up. But opting not to, so Callstone pass, end of turn, going to search for another of the Fiery Angel of Vengeance. Fallen Angel, a Fiery Vengeance.
Yeah, and like you said, Tobias, unless you wind up actually just being really lucky and opening the 2. And Furry Balls, we really appreciate that. Josh, it looks like you're somebody's hero today.
Of course, we're here in Houston, and his Isis has been killing everybody since he started playing her. He got cocky and entered OLS, where your Blue Machines deck stops his S2O, I'm sorry. I mean, you're welcome. I'm sorry.
Not all heroes wear capes.
I guess that's exactly. I've never been praised for my stomping abilities. But I guess when your friends on the sideline watching you, yeah.
Alright.
Alright.
Patrick's turn.
So we ended up going for a Fiery Vengeance. How did we get Dark Alice out here? Oh, Desert Miner. Duh.
Yep.
So, Fiery Vengeance, played the Dark Alice, and then played
Godly
a
Aura
Godly
before
Aura.
untap. Okay.
So, good use of will there. Made sure he used everything before he recovered. Dark Alice is on the field. Doesn't do anything here, except for a little bit of mana fixing. So, no issues. No issues for Jeremy right now. He's probably sitting on his cancel spell, still feeling pretty happy. Probably Arondites in hand, probably Kaguya in hand. Whatever he's got to do.
Oh, okay. So the first moon token, as you stated before, was Popeye Dispel. For some reason, I was thinking they were tokens and not additions. I'm still getting used to these.
Yeah, still definitely additions.
Yep. Okay. And now here comes Nyarlathotep.
Yeah, so this is where, kind of going back to what you were talking about, Jeremy, or Joey, is sometimes Gnarla is just powerful in itself, right?
Yeah.
So what he's doing is he's leading with the Gnarla, maybe trying to bait and any kind of responses. Gnarla being in that 2-drop spot means that a March of the Dead, still very live. Just a lot of reanimation, so like even answering the 1, you can get it back, right? So doing a very good job for Patrick, being being very low, and that's what an aggro deck needs to do in these control decks, is really make your opponent think, what am I trying to cancel here? Am I really wasting my time on this? So.
Yeah, I was about to question that. So he wound up casting the Nyarlathotep. Why was that not immediately canceled by the Kaguya?
Essentially, for what I talked about, is March of the Dead is a potential option.
Okay.
Right? So you cancel it, but then I just pay 1 to get it back anyway, right? It's just, hopefully Jeremy has more efficient answers for a Gnarla than the cancel spell, like a Light of Raisin Revive. Or Light of the Sacred Spirits. So this is a 1-drop answer to anything that's bigger than a 900, right?
Yep.
This is game 1, TJ.
Good to see you, man.
So yeah, he got the white from the Desert Miner.
Yeah. We're seeing Light of Sacred Spirit come down. We're going to be banishing the Nyarlathotep.
It's going to get removed, which is the other interesting part, right? So everything in this AO1 gave us removal, but in the form of remove from game, right? Not destroy. But then also in the same set, they gave us this 2-drop instant speed reanimate from your removed area. And so I felt like it was everything they also did in the Decisive Battle of Valhalla. They gave us all this crazy stuff you can do from your graveyard, and they also gave you the card that protects your graveyard. You're just like, well, okay.
Yep. So in response, we wound up sacking off the moon so that we could pop the Kaguya and the Dark Alice. But why do we have 2 moons again?
We got 1.
Because I could have swore we were at 2, then we got rid of 2 in order to pop the Kaguya and
Desert
the Dark
Miner
Alice.
would have definitely gotten us 2, and the Godly Aura would have gotten us 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so the 4th one, I'm not entirely sure about.
Okay.
Unless he thinks he got one off the Godly Aura, which was canceled. I'm uncertain.
Okay. Playing the Misty
Oh,
Woods,
never
did we
mind.
find
There's
the Dark
2
Alice?
Godly Auras in the graveyard and 1 in the Ruin area, so 2 of them resolved.
Okay.
So, yep. So, Forest of the Lost Misty Woods. This is reanimation at 2 colorless. This is your, crap, you killed my Dark Alice? Cool, I can still get Kaguyas. Suck it.
And this is my favorite thing, honestly, about Adam, the fact that you have these cheap 1-cost and 2-cost cards that do so much and grind so well.
Yeah, so in Grave, we have the Adam, we have the Kaguya, and we have a Dark Alice, are all legal targets for the Misty.
The fact that I get to pay 1 will and I get to add another key card that's either like a Dark Alice or a Kaguya or whatever, or an Adam or something, and then I'm able to pay 2 to be able to get it back from Grave, and just the consistency is great.
Yep, so this is a situation where Patrick knows he has at least 1 cancel spell to play around, right? So, playing a Raise and Revive, playing another Nyarlathotep, these are all...
Correct, yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't meaning that
fiberless.
you could reanimate the Adam, I was meaning that you could search the Adam off of playing it. That it just increases consistency for seeing Adam with
Misty's
Dark
6
Alice.
or less. Misty's 6 or less.
Oh,
It
the
gets an
search
Adam.
part?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
God, it's 8. It's 8. That Adam's an 8 cost card. Okay, so yeah,
No,
Fairy
no,
Tale
no, no, no. I'm
Resonator.
talking about the search part on enter. Look at top 4.
Oh, yeah, no, you get whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get whatever. But yeah, no, I think he was talking about, yes, you're very right. Not Adam. You don't get Adam. Adam is an 8 cost Resonator. Misty gets a 6 drop, so my bad.
Right.
My bad. Thanks, guys. You guys make me a better player. Because, like, you guys should have seen, we weren't able to stream it, but, like, Stuart and I played, like, round 1 OLS cluster, and, like, I'm sighted into Lenneth, trying to play my Levitines, thinking that I get Lenneth triggers. Like, I'm just such a good Force of Will player. And it's because of you guys that, like, I can actually go to a GP and win, because you guys keep my head straight. So, Narla coming down, no cancel here, actually just playing the Light of Raise and Revive to put it into removed area. Interesting choice. Interesting choice there. We've basically given up on the cancel spell at this point. I don't see a way that he gets a cancel with only his 1 will. That means Isis is clear.
Yep.
Which is spooky, because then he goes in with 3 will, can get his 3rd Narla, even tapping out. I don't think Adam's at a place where too much stuff is threatened. And I can't remember if we are actually playing this Isis with burial rites in the main. Uncertain.
I believe we are. I realized the wording on the Strange Rulers. I thought they had the Judgment when the Regalias played till Josh made me woke on it during the OLS.
I did. I did. I did that next level play. I was just like, all right, yeah, so play this. And then play some other shit. And he's like, whoa, why aren't you judgmenting? I'm like, I don't have to. I'm gonna make sure that these Barbados get out of my hand first. Before... or else then I'll be right. Or everyone else will be right and Barbados will suck.
Oh boy.
So I don't know what Patrick is thinking about here. Wants it in the graveyard instead. So opting to sack a moon to put it in the graveyard. Why is that? That means he doesn't have an Isis in hand, which sucks. Sucks a lot. So pass turn to Jeremy. Unless that was when that was happening. Oh yeah. Okay, so Jeremy drew a card. This was all during Jeremy's turn. So he drew a card, then he did... Nope.
Minha stating yesterday I didn't read Genesis Creation. I think I must have gotten all 3 back, and I can only take an edition field back, not just a regular edition.
Yeah, when you wish everything else was errated to how simple the card game is now.
Yeah.
You know, none of these crazy different chant, quick chant, instant chant, sorcery. Yeah, no, it's all just chant. So we had a Dark Alice come into the field on that last will for Jeremy and opted to sack the Dark Alice and discard an Izanami. Really? Oh, nope. Discarding 2 Izanamis. What happened to the Alice? How'd we kill the Alice?
He removed the angels, but he can't do that with the Alice on board.
You right.
Correction.
Got him. So I actually did this game 2 of one of our me and Patrick. We were playing, and I shot one of his Narlas with a fallen angel in my graveyard while I had a Dark Alice. That is like the biggest mistake everybody will ever make. I don't think we've had a lot of tournaments yet. I think we only had the Vite Ramen tournaments so far where we've actually gotten to play with these. But like come big GPs, keep an eye on that. All right, for both you and your opponent.
Why must the Rogue Skill Gauntlet always do this? Because we want the best of both worlds, man. We want to be able to remove our cards and prevent the opponent from removing our cards.
You can't talk, Josh. Yeah, see, Patrick's calling me out. You can't talk. I was just going to miss it entirely on that one.
Did we lose that? I think it was a chant spell that wound up adding a fire resonator and a fire chant in like the top 5 cards of your deck or something from deck to hand. Did we lose that in rotation?
No, Sand.
No, it's
Sand Awakening.
No, I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah, it's like
one
the
with,
master and student or whatever.
Welser's got it on. He's on the card. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
think
that
so.
rotated.
Okay.
No, that didn't rotate. That's
Yeah,
still
it
in it.
did. The master and student. That was the evil eye, the winds of the ominous moon. That was Welser. Welser's not legal.
I'm about to look back and see if I can even remember the name of this card.
So here we go. Flame King coming down end of the opponent's turn. Just like we talked about. This is that instant speed Isis. Jeremy wondering if he wants to cancel that. Because this is where canceling that kind of stuff gets you into trouble, right? Because anytime you as a player are doing stuff at the end of your opponent's turn, and they're answering at the end of their turn, then you're free to recover and do whatever the hell you want, right? So that Isis, Jeremy knew better that basically that if he canceled that Flame Awakening, that Isis is still in hand, and now he can't cancel the Isis. So he's going to just leave it on the field and answer it later in this way, right? And leave up that cancel for maybe something more important that might be coming. So good on Jeremy for knowing that that was a bad idea to cancel that.
So are we fine with a neg-1 to be able to just put Isis into play like that? Do we not care about the resources that we're losing when we play Awakening of the Flame King for that?
What kind of resources do you think we lost?
Well, we played the Awakening to then put a Resonator into play.
Yep. At instant speed. And we
Sure.
did 400.
So
to
we
the board.
we minused an additional card to give quick cast to Isis.
You are correct. Yes. Yeah, and so that 400 kind of plays into effect later, or in a couple of different matches. In this one, it doesn't, but
Okay.
I personally absolutely love that. This was a conversation that Patrick and I were having, about basically the way the old Isis was, right? The old Isis, you could only play Isis during your turn, and that really closed the thought window that an Isis player had. So, thanks a lot for the follow. Wins Diddy Kong Racing. Oh my god, I love that game. I miss Diddy Kong Racing. It was like my favorite racing game for the 64. Like, I even owned a Mario Kart. I owned the original Mario Kart, and I liked Diddy Kong Racing better.
Chant of Tranquility, I think, is the one that you're referring to, Tobias. The 1-cost quick cast chant that gives Resonator Barrier.
No, that's yours. Remember
Chant
our
of
tech?
Tranquility is the Kaguya thing.
Yeah, no,
I
remember
forget.
our tech
Mine
for
likes still water.
yeah,
Yeah.
our tech for nationals that sucked. You know what elementals aren't? Chance.
Yep.
I was sitting across from Aaron Miles, and he was like, do like inheritance stuff, like try to kill your shit, and I'm like, mind like Stillwater, and he's like, no. I'm like, yeah, no, I suck. I'm sorry.
It was only for the 5th elements, and it was mainly for whenever you went for the tournament play, and they would 5th element and respond.
Second Isis. Ooh. So here's where Kaguya is coming down. Definitely going to cancel this,
Yeah.
but
We have enough will open for an Izanami.
we do.
He had to fix those stones real quick.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Telegraph that.
He's like, oops. Had to come off that 2 black, make sure he had 2 white.
Mm-hmm. My local Isis player started to run it, and he's a good player, so I'm inclined to believe it will see more play. I think that's the Mind Like Still Water.
Yeah, I think Mind Like Stillwater is not a bad sideboard card, especially if you're playing to board. Gets around cards like there's a lot of heavy 2-drop removal cards in the format, or 1-drop removal card spell based. So Bloody Break, the 1-drop white card, a couple of the Alice, or not the Alice cards, but the Varia cards. Too,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and definitely not to say that it's not a good card in this meta. I would say that in the meta that I was talking about, like, that just wasn't a good meta to be siding in. And plus, especially when you sided into it against Gil, who wasn't really, like, you had a rival of the hero, which was the only thing that was really killing you. So yeah, that was me being dumb player back then. But yeah, now I could see it. There's a lot of targeting spells. But my biggest thing is, like, right now I've narrowed my view on viable cards to whether or not I want it against this Adam deck or whether or not I want it against the Perfect Loki deck, right? If it doesn't fit into either one of those matchups, odds are I'm not looking to play it, right? But that's just because that's where I believe the best decks are right now. Now, if you go to locals every week, and yeah, you've got Melgus and Isis running around all over the place, absolutely, tech your deck to be a totally different meta, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So a question about Angel of Zeus seeing more play, considering how Zalus and Adam typically want their grave intact, and most people are trying to combat it by removing their grave. Honestly, I don't think that's really the way to fight against Adam. I think if you wind up spending the time to remove their grave, I think they're kind of getting ahead at that point because they've already done what they wanted to. And it's pretty difficult to actually get the Dark Alices off board and win the counter war and make sure you get the grave removed. And by that time, I think then they just start dropping the... they can't color fix for that. So I could see that. But, I mean, if they wind up having another Adam, it's pretty easy to just fill it back up again.
Angel of Zeus. Angel of Zeus is the 4-drop quick cast, right? Prevents your ship from being banished? Is that what it is? 4-drop quick cast fixes for blue?
Yep. Quick cast, 1-drop, 4/4, gives your stones blue, and then it only has quick cast if you have Adam in your grave, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like an additional Dark Alice.
So I'm trying to think outside of Athena's Love and the Stranger's Shade. What are we banishing with right now?
Oh, entities you control cannot be banished by spells or abilities your opponent controls. I'm thinking differently. I'm thinking Yu-Gi-Oh! Banish is removed from play. Banish is not removed from play.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, so the Flame King Shout, the Stranger... So, like, I could see it maybe seeing play later. Right now, though, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's enough of the meta to dictate running that card. Mm-hmm. With enough of the meta being that. And Furry Balls, in answer to your question... I'm still undecided about Isis. I can tell you honestly that Isis is a deck I'm considering for the Vite Ramen tournament up in Canada that I'll be playing. So,
call me crazy, but I think Isis is the better red deck over Melgus.
I might be with you on that here soon. I think I need a little bit more playing, but yeah, I enjoy what Patrick has done with this deck. So if you guys haven't seen it already, this is kind of also one of those, right? So we're battling through cancels, shit's in the grave, shit's in the removed area, but we're still we are now playing instant speed out of grave, out of removed area. We are being as resilient as these other decks are being, right? And so one of the biggest things that this deck was struggling against was Perfect Loki. And so our tech for that is this fancy little addition over here. So there's two ways that we can go about this, right? We can either on upkeep cast an Athena's Love to give all of your shit eternal during your turn, and so when you go off with your 50 moons or you just go off with Narla's and whatever to whatever final damage you got to do, none of your shit dies to a Perfect Loki, right? Yep. And then this also does the same thing. This is during your turn, none of your stuff dies. So the high you're a red deck, I'm going to play Perfect Loki on your upkeep, and you're just not going to play a game of Force of Will, this card stops that from happening. So.
Yep.
So I think it's disgusting how she can banish a Moonstone to basically kill anything on the field and doesn't have to tap herself to do it. Wash and repeat. So hard to hold. Yeah. No, you are playing a very grindy game against Isis. Now, Isis will run out of resources, though. You know, like, that's where, like, in everything that has happened up to this point, both players are still at 5 cards in hand. They've only each played 3 runes. And the board state is currently in Jeremy's favor. But, like, that's it. That's all that, like, and a lot of game has happened up to this point. So a lot of strategy, a lot of chess has happened. So, like, if you're wanting for Isis to be your brain dead red deck, that's not it. It's not your deck right now. If you want to compete with these top tier decks, you have to be able to grind, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very frustrating. And I'll tell you what, Furry Balls, I can tell you that there is a lot of frustrating things that are happening with the cards that we own right now. The cards that have been printed are super powerful, and they do so much. Multimodal spells, abilities, multiple inner effects, stagnant effects, effects from grave. Like, there's just so much happening on these pieces of cardboard now that never used to be happening, that I can understand that. I can absolutely understand that. There's a lot of stuff to consider now when you're playing a game of Force of Will. But I also welcome you to enjoy it, because your ability to play trading cards competitively, your ability to process information, to problem solve on the fly, this is building all of those skills in ways that you never thought just a hobby would be able to do for you, right? So welcome the challenge, welcome the obstacles, put yourself into danger and get out of it every time. Like, so good luck, buddy.
Although one of the trade-offs that we now have is the rulers are all much simpler than they used to be. We wound up getting much more simplified rulers in exchange for more complex cards in our actual main decks, in our stranger decks, in our rune decks. But now we just have like generic Isis or Brunhild, where I summon and I get a guy back, as opposed to Ayu, or as opposed to Gil or Kaguya 4.0. So in one way, the game has become more complex, and in another way, the game has simplified a bit. Let's see, Pat's turn with full will against Jeremy's 4-will open for a maximum of 2 cancels here, or 1 cancel and 2 disruptions.
Yeah, so we did some kind of Sand Awakening there before recovery. I don't exactly know why. I don't know if Patrick has made some cheeky changes to this deck and now cares about Rune 4. But
yes.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I was just kidding.
Resonator.
I was kidding. I don't know if Ares is in this, but like, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Wait, is her name Ares?
His name, I believe, was Ares. I could be wrong.
Oh, you're talking about Ares. Okay.
Yeah, the 4-drop
Sorry.
white resonator that gives +4 to everything at Rune 4.
Yeah, that's not what I was thinking of. Let me pull it up real quick. I was thinking of Zhulane, the 4-drop red resonator at Rune 4. You can put a Ping Tong in. If you remember her at all, she's a 9/9. When she enters, searches a Ping Tong. Rune 4, put the Ping Tong into play. Also, Rune 4, banish a resonator, cancel a chant. That's what I was thinking, but Ares is better.
So I think Strangers will become top dog, but not till set 4. Set 4? Wow. See, I think they're going to like get a nice little bump here in set 2, but set 2 could have a lot of solid Strangers, but Ploki with Dark Depths. Yeah, Ploki with Dark Depths. I mean, you ain't lying. The more sets that come out, the more consistent stones and Rune Rollers will be. But I think Broken Stuff will hit set 4 and warp the meta hard. They do, don't they? They love to give you busted cards that you can only play for like a year and 3 months. I hate it when they do that.
That's
they're
the
just
time
like
to experiment.
like set one, they're just like, here's all this low power stuff you get to play for 2 years. Have fun. And then like by set 4, they're like, all right, 1 year of hell, go.
Patrick got off to a really slow start for this deck with the 2 Scorch Bales, slowing usually board state build. Pretty slow board state build. I don't know.
I
was
could
it really
agree,
that
but he
slow?
had a Desert Miner. He had a Desert Miner
Yeah.
early, so like he wasn't really struggling. I've seen this deck actually kind of fall apart if he doesn't hit those Scorch Bales early. That early Power of Immortality, that kind of stuff that he really wants to be doing.
Yeah.
They could be. Honestly, I love speculating on what the company is up to because I literally have no idea. Those guys are crazy. They're doing just a bunch of crazy stuff. Alright, so we are playing an Izanami here to get that Narla. So an Izanami for a Narla. Desert Miner comes in. Kaguya canceled the first Izanami, I'm assuming. So another moon. Tapping. So we are just ramping moons here. I wonder if he has a way. There's no way.
Some conversation going on about how Rune Rulers have an extra 5 cards in hand, basically, and Rune Rulers have 5 effects, so that's what winds up complicating them. Yeah, I can agree. I can agree to that.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? I wonder if we are just going to, if we ramped all of those moons to clear the board and to hit the grave. I wonder if we can. How many Kaguyas are in here right now? 1, 2, third one's on the board. What are the odds he has the 4th one?
22 card deck. This
Very
Adam
simple.
doesn't put things on bottom, right? Doesn't have anything that puts on bottom. Oh wait, Misty Woods, right?
Misty,
yeah, Misty
Woods.
does.
I don't know if he mains the Burial Rites. I
So-
feel like in this meta, I probably would. There's... You're playing enough with the Guinevere's and the Dark Alices. I'm pretty sure he's playing Guinevere's. God, he hasn't seen a Guinevere. Maybe not. Maybe we're off Guinevere now. This man's crazy. But like with the discard off the Dark Alices and the Guinevere's when we were playing him, I don't mind running those sideboard tech cards because if in the rare case I'm in a matchup where it doesn't matter, I can just discard it. You know what I mean? So, but like in game 1, I want to see that. You know, I want for my opponent to play like that's a sideboard card for me. You know what I mean? I want to snipe game 1.
Yep.
Because like I feel like I have enough skill and confidence in the other matchups that if I'm holding a dead card like that, it's not going to affect my win rate against the other decks, right? So we are wiping. We killed the Dark Alice. We're killing this. We're probably gonna kill an Isis. And show me that last card.
2, 4. Athena's.
Banish.
Alright. Yeah, there we go.
There it is. Board cleared. 4 cards in hand. Woof.
What's so cool about getting to this part of the game state is it used to be like we all feared Isis late game when Rune Rulers first came out. We were all scared of what happened when you got to that late game, and so you had to prevent Isis from getting to that point where she had all these stones to be able to do stuff. And now she has complete control over the game and gets to this point with all these stones that she can flip. And it's cool actually finally being able to judgment Isis and do something with her.
And that's the thing. I've never actually seen Patrick Judgment and Isis, but that is definitely a playline that we're getting to because what's going to happen here is Jeremy is maining Perfect Loki. And if he has a perfect Loki right now, there is no answers. We're talking Isis top decking at this point. All the runes are played. All the cards are gone. There's no more. You wipe this, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
So we're getting into like draw a card, flip an Isis, draw a card next turn, and play with 3 cards.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I found the card Reunion Between the Master and Pupil. It's a 2-cost card from Winds of the Ominous Moon, like you were talking about. It's basically like you're a 4C, just draw 2 cards, but you get to kind of pick from the top 5 cards. So, I figured that Isis would get to this point where it starts losing value, and I thought that would be a really good card to kind of throw in here to be able to get your value back, but it rotated, so never mind.
Ikari Fate, thank you very much for the follow, buddy. We appreciate you. So yeah, I honestly, like, it was fun to watch all of that. I thought that the burial rites was what he had. Without the burial rites, that whole play line, now he has just opened himself wide. Like a Yokai Festival here for 2, like, that's gonna hurt. That's 20 life that he just can't get back. The first strike in Force of Will, like, that's not that only is when you're attacking, right? So like these Zeus Alices can attack Isis and attack Narla and just clear the board, gain 20 life past turn. And like I don't think there's anything that you can do. It's not only cost 4, it costs 5 when you're using the Magic Stone of Omniscience for the green. That's what he has to do, is he has to tap 1 and tap this to produce the green to play a rune that he needs to, right? So swinging into Isis, probably swinging into Narla, and just calling it a day. There's no reason not to.
We still have 5 cards in hand, is Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is game over. I really thought that was going to be, a burial rites, because yeah, when you answer the board like you do, or like we just saw, but you don't answer the grave, then all of the threats that Adam is still live. Everything is still live, right? And so that's just a shame. That's a shame. So
Definitely
ended
goes
up
to show
swinging
that-
at the face there, leaving Narla. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I don't know if I'm a fan of that at all. Why leave the Narla? I mean, I understand that he could have sacked the moon to prevent the damage, so he wouldn't have gained the life, so he'd have been at 26.
Yeah. I guess he's setting up for lethal next turn. Because now
I mean, he
he's
is.
able to
I mean,
swing for 20, so.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess I just don't know how important that damn moon was. I mean, I guess the 10 life is a lot, the 20 point life swing is a lot more important than, but like this, this is the shit that happens. It's just like one reanimation trigger on, and like we're going to town. What do we got? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can awaken for 5.
Yeah, but we do have a blue will open on Adam for the Erendite.
Yeah, for the Erendite.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, I don't know. I don't know what he's got in his hand, right? That's a fully awaken. He's going for it.
Yeah. He doesn't have anything else. He might as well
just
put it
gonna
all
make
in
his
there and
opponent
challenge
have
the
it.
Erendite.
Oh, he didn't have it. The balls. The planetary alignment. Jesus. So 2, 4,
Okay.
5, 6, 7 moons. We only need 2 more moons. Minerva. Swing still doesn't win. So he still loses, which sucks.
Yeah, there's no getting around it.
I mean, he could swing an Isis into one of these.
Yeah, that's why we were talking about one of the Alices going face furry balls. That way he can just set up for lethal on the following turn, like now.
Yeah,
So he doesn't have to work.
Also, that life gain was super important.
Yeah. Kept him alive against the Nyarlathotep's or anything else that may have come out, other than like 9 moons. If we had gotten to 9 moons, it would have been a different story.
Mm-hmm.
I do love, though, how you can Nyarlathotep and get a whole bunch of moons, and then drop another Nyarlathotep, get a whole bunch more moons. And I just love how you can keep chaining that off of each other.
I'm assuming Patrick's cubed.
Yeah. Jeremy was the first one to scoop up his deck, but yeah, Pat lost.
Just making sure. Game 1 for Jeremy. And yeah, Azhag, we might be running a little late. We'll find out. Yep, Zeus is strong. So we're definitely gonna sideboard into the burial rites here. I feel like if there's any deck that most decks, in terms of attacking Adam, and attacking Adam's graveyard, will struggle because the cost to remove Dark Alice and the grave and the cards needed to do both are kind of hard to come by in all the other decks. But Narla's natural ability to remove kind of makes handling Adam's graveyard a little bit easier for Isis. I think of all of the decks that are currently out there right now, Isis probably has the easiest time. Okay, Isis and Perfect Loki Athena have the best time in handling a graveyard. Now, by no means is that easy. You still need 2 cards to do it, right? You need the Burial Rites, you need the Narla. In the Athena Perfect Lokis, you need the Athena and then Perfect Loki in your opponent's turn, right? Like, you have to go about it in those ways. But I think this game 2 will be pretty damn good for Isis. It should be. Furry Balls has tuned in tonight just to watch Isis crumble. America, death to Isis. Good job, buddy.
What are your thoughts on potentially playing the other Nyarlathotep, the 2-drop 5/5 that you can tap, draw a card, remove it from game, and then pay excessive will to keep getting it back and drawing more cards? That doesn't have a spot in this.
It doesn't.
Deck, right?
It doesn't, because it doesn't do anything as a resonator. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a threat.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, you can keep getting it back, but like, it doesn't do anything.
All right.
You know, and you're banishing stones, I think, in order to.
Oh no, that's just for the. It has built-in resonator removal. If you want to kill one of their resonators, you have to banish a stone.
Yeah, you're right. And Furry Balls, no, I believe those are the only 3 options. I mean, Calico Cat, spot removal for the grave, but yeah, those are kind of our options right now. So turn 1 Guinevere. Okay, so he does play this card. Called it, guys. He just didn't see it at all. So he has draw power.
So why do we not play Root Eggs in here?
Okay, so there are 2 Isis decks, right? And so there's this one that the Europeans are playing. I've seen Lars on it. I've seen JPK on it. I realize, like, when I say the Europeans, those are really the only 2 I'm talking about whenever I say the Europeans. So I hope Lars and JPK know they're carrying a whole continent on their backs. Like, they are the European player base in my mind. So when I see them playing these decks, I just assume all of Europe is. So they are playing a black variant of or a heavier black variant of Isis that's playing the Rookades, playing the Altars, playing even that 3-drop Athenia that banishes the grave and stuff. They're playing one of copy of that, so a slightly different build focused more heavily in black.
Yeah.
So
See, yeah, I don't like the black splash, but I do like the Rookades in there just for the Guinevere's and Dark Alices. This deck doesn't play Dark Alice, does it?
yeah, no, this deck does.
Oh,
Absolutely.
it does? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would just play it just for the Dark Alice and the Guinevere's.
So you
And it
guys are gonna
searches
have
out
to
your
let me know.
Isis and your Isonomy.
Yeah. So stream, let me know, what do you guys think about Jeremy running the Gauntlet with his Adam deck? This man's a little bit too confident with his Adam deck, and I think he needs
We gotta take him down a notch.
like, yeah, look at this. Turn 1, Dark Alice into Adam. Cool. Like, how? Nobody has this kind of untapped luck, right? None of our Gauntlet runners do at all, right? So you guys heard it here first. If Jeremy ever runs the Gauntlet with his Adam deck, you watch, and we'll track it statistically, figure out, why. We'll start breaking down the Gauntlet curse. But yeah, turn 1 pass for Jeremy, coming back and just landing the Dark Alice, and now he's on Perfect Will. Puts the Forest of the Lost down. We'll figure out what he kind of goes for here. I don't know if he showed anything. Did he whiff? He whiffed. That's ouch.
This time we might lose with Adam only having 2 cards in hand.
So, passing to Patrick's turn, I think he's deciding if on the end of turn he wants to do the Fallen Angel shenanigans.
Honestly, I think you always do. I don't think there's ever a reason to keep it on board. But
yeah, Azhag, yeah, when he starts off like that, that's just you're just like, well, F me and my creativity. Like, I'm just gonna take my cards and go home. So yeah, solid card. I wanted to try it in a few decks. Light of Chronos. Light of Chronos is a very good card. So we need to see a white, red, blue deck today and watch it destroy Isis, right? That's how this works. Just natural advantage. I mean, I think just by laws of Gauntlet, this deck will just destroy itself. Like this shit. And so like at this point, nobody has ran the Gauntlet to a perfect record. Like, that's just nobody's done it. Like, the Gauntlet is like almost like living up to its name right now. Like we created this as something for ourselves to test, and like none of us have completely succeeded in the Gauntlet. It's crazy.
we had a deck that got 4 wins, right?
And that was back when we were doing 5, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was Gil that got 4 wins.
No, because I remember Will playing Gil and not doing well.
Oh,
He was not happy about
oof. I can't remember what it was then. They're talking about Seal of Lenneth, main board, and Adam, whether that deserves a spot or not. Yeah, I think we've tested it out with like 2 or 3 in the main board. I like Seal of Lenneth in there.
I has opinions on Seal of
You don't like
Lenneth, and
You don't like paying 2 will for removal? Is that it?
no, it's 1 will. It's 1 will. Okay, but you're
Yeah.
right. 2 will in the form of a combo with Dark Alice and stuff along those lines. It's an O-ring. And O-ring is very nice in the game of Magic because their cards aren't printed with like death intertriggers. Like, we have death intertriggers. So if at any point I'm accidentally playing somebody and like I Seal of Lenneth and he dispels my Seal of Lenneth and the thing that I like removed gets another inner trigger, like, screw that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. But if you have the Dark Alice, you never have to worry about that because...
Oh,
well,
absolutely.
Actually, oh, no, never mind. Actually,
Yeah,
you do, because
but
if
now-
he Erendites or cancels your Dark Alice, okay.
But now what you've done is you've justified a 1-drop removable by turning it into a 2-drop sorcery speed removal. And we have way more... Like, if you're playing
Yeah,
a Seal of Lenneth, and you have to play it with a Dark Alice. You've just took Quick Cast off of your Dark Alice to get some optimal draw trigger there, but then you've done stuff on your turn when you probably shouldn't have had to. There's plenty of instant speed interaction, so like, that's my opinion right now. I could be wrong. Missing a lot of what's going on in this game, though.
The Isis came down.
The Isis did come down, and it was hard casted.
Yep.
Hard casted.
Because Adam tapped out.
Yep. So using both the Godly Auras probably before recovery. Went and searched an Arlo. Probably have an Arlo in hand. That's how we got the other moon. Playing other moon for. So we should have been at 3 moons. Got 1 moon dispelled. That's pretty nice. Probably dispelled the first moon on the Isis inner trigger. Not on the inner trigger, but on cast. So that way Isis didn't have that mana to float. Couldn't use the other one for a Whispers on his turn instead of leaving it up for any kind of interaction. I don't agree with that. I don't think there's any reason to play an instant speed card on your turn. You just essentially tap everything out and let your opponent know you're literally not going to do anything. You know,
The only time you're doing that is when you need to simplify it for your own mental state, when the game is getting a bit complicated and you need to do it so that you can just stop thinking about it. Other than that, yeah, there's no reason to.
Set number of rounds, or just depends on how many people want to play. What we talk about, the Gauntlet is just one deck going round after round, test how good it is. Yeah, so the one deck is going to be Patrick. Patrick's going to play Isis for all 4 hours, right? We have it set up to where we're going to try to do an hour for every round, right? So like this one won't go to a game 3. They're in game 2. Even if Patrick wins this, we'll just call it a draw. We try not to let our Gauntlet games go over an hour and a half. I think it's the longest that we kind of let them go, just to resolve game 2, or if we know they can do a game 3 real quick or something along those lines. We try to keep it an hour and a half at max, but scheduled for an hour, right? So right now we should be starting round 2. Round 2 is going to be Perfect Loki versus Isis, and that's going to be at 10:30, right? But if it goes over, we'll just start it, whatever, and then we'll just move it back. So the community slot will be after Stuart plays Patrick, Perfect Loki versus Isis. As soon as that's done, whatever time that's done, we'll bring somebody in from the community.
Did he just accidentally draw like 5 cards? Yes, untapped. Oh gosh, someone make a Panda Isis build for Wanderer. Alright, so the Nyarla came down. We're paying the 2. We're not doing any Awaken here. We're just going to hard cast the Nyarla. Which, because we're not Awakening, we're not getting any moons. We have 2 moons over there. We don't have Isis down, so no ramp, so we just have the 2 will.
Mm-hmm. So Adam only doing the Zeus's Grand Lightning. Has 2 will up for Kaguya, though, so...
That red-white card that gets an addition and a resonator to field, think it could work? What red or white card are we talking about?
It's an addition and a resonator to the field. Yeah, I don't know what card that is. Oh my goodness, is this the Smash Bros song?
I don't know. I can't hear it.
You can't. Oh, you can't hear it. Oh, probably not on the stream. Stream, let me know. Is this a Smash Bros song? Can you guys even hear it? I think it is. No.
It's a little low, so it's hard for me to tell. It's good there, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, so in listening to the streams when we get them back up on Jeremy's channel, like for the the audio on those seem fine.
Yeah, TJ says
Question.
Answer,
Because I sometimes am dumb.
Judge.
Judge.
Say judge.
If a card that is activated in effect to deal damage does not need to remain on the field in order to complete said damage,
Yeah,
like with an effect.
correct.
Okay, cool.
So like, yeah,
brain-
if that effect is on the chase, if the card goes away,
that's what
the
I
effect
thought.
still resolves.
My brain blip. Everything in my brain was telling me yes, and I was like, but I also don't want to be stupid. So
Hey,
let's.
good job,
think here.
Jeremy, wording that in a question that wasn't specific to the game, so that a judge could answer.
Yeah,
the
right.
question.
Because you can't inform gameplay. So this was me asking it. This was me asking a yes or no question based on a rules concept that I already know.
There
Thank you very
go,
much.
buddy. Thank you.
Oh, they're talking about the Panda card that gets either an addition or Resonator.
Oh shit! Restoration.
Yeah, not both. Okay.
Yeah. So
I was thinking of a
Wanderer.
card that got both.
That's Wanderer.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're playing a Godly Aura.
So Power of Immortality here. Whoa! Holy shit! We are just the chase.
Yeah.
So, so my guess is Gnarla Moon to shoot the Dark Alice, Power of Immortality in response, Godly Aura in response to Power of Immortality, and then Light of Light.
Okay, yeah, he
Light
wanted
of
to
Sacred
light
Spirit.
the Nyarlathotep away and then have the effect fizzle somehow.
Yeah, and there's no way. So, no Power of Immortality resolves. No. I mean, the thing died. We still get a moon on Godly Aura, which is good. Godly Aura, one of the things that I overlook is when Gnarla's on the field, you get both effects. So you get the moon and you get the burn. So that's super nice.
Ooh.
Again, though, went out of our way to kill a Dark Alice, but not actually answering the grave.
Yep.
And now we're back to
At least not yet.
potentially getting canceled by shit. So, very interesting. Another Misty. Really digging here. I think we're digging. Restoration
Yeah, I
is
would
good
be
in
too.
water. 7-cost Regalia. Are you talking about that win the game? Yeah. Win the game.
We found a Kaguya off the Misty Wood. If we drop a Dark Alice, we're able to then turn it on in hand. So we have one cancel going to Pat's turn, who will be on 5 will after he uses 1. Hey, Cam, nice to see you.
Hi,
Cam's on
it's
the
Cam.
Yep.
It's Cam. What up, Cam? Toby, I thought I was on something. You good, buddy? I will say, guys, you guys are doing a fantastic job talking and keeping this interesting. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We've had 16, topped out at 18 viewers. It's awesome when we get a lot of you guys in here. It makes these streams a lot easier for me to entertain, for, you know, our content. And so we appreciate you guys very, very, very much.
Dark Alice Rabbit, we're getting the Dark Alice.
Yeah, so Dark Alice is gonna just dig through the deck, find some shenanigans. Pitching free cards like Fallen Angel feels pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure out what this one other card we're gonna go for.
Have they released any more events for the GP schedule, or is it just Vegas still?
It's still just Vegas.
Darn.
Desert Miner on the other one. So draw 2, discard 2. Swinging? No. Sacking the Dark Alice to the Guinevere to draw 2. So that little combo there for 1 will, draw 4, discard 3. Just good hand sculpting. Good hand sculpting for especially a deck like Isis that's linchpinned around a single card. So, well done. Well done. That is something that Patrick loves to do. Absolutely loves to do. Guinevere, Dark Alice, sack, let's go 4 cards.
Yeah.
So pitched in Izanami, which is very interesting. My guess, loaded a little bit on the Izanami. Probably at least 2 in hand right now. If very nice, he has an Isis and a Gnarla in the removed area. That's a Raise and Revive, the target for sure. So probably gonna spend this turn poking, doing a little bit of damage, trying to get him tapped out a little bit on some of this will to try to get his turn more clear. Probably has Raise and Revive in hand. Just gonna be targeting one of these Gnarlas or Isis if he can ever get his opponent off the cancel will. So another Raise and Revive himself. Sack to Guinevere. Eat it. Make sure it hits the graveyard. You've already got what you need. Get the advantage off of it. That feels very good. That's a very efficient answer to that, is just kind of sacking your own stuff, drawing a card, discarding. Especially since it costs Jeremy 2 will to do that, right? So feeling very good right now. We just need to capitalize in the form of getting an Isis to stick, and hopefully at this point, 18 cards left in deck, we should have a Burial Rites in hand. My guess is we're holding on to a Dark Alice, so we need to get an Isis and a Gnarla on board. I'm really hoping he has a Raise and Revive in hand. I think that is kind of the answer here. Raise and Revive for 2, get the Isis, ramps another stone, still leaves him at 4 will, right? The only answer that we have here is white. So it's not even an Erendite. We can't Erendite anything. We can only Sacred Spirit.
Yeah, Jeremy's been suffering a bit with only 1 Light Vapor this game. Yeah, blue is so much more impactful than red is in Adam. Get you
Past
Misty Woods, get you
turn.
Erendite.
Past turn. Damn, 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand, and didn't have a way to capitalize on him only being on 1 will. I mean, so he's setting up for a Flame King here. I feel like that might be too telegraphed. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it would have felt really good right there to have dropped the Isis with only the white up. I think it would have been better just to straight up play the Isis, because then you get a moon and you have 3 more will open still. Maybe I'm wrong.
So Adam just going the full control route. Pass turn. Call Stone Pass.
Oh boy.
Welcome to Control 101. Call Stone
Yep.
Pass.
He does have Light Vapors now, though.
Like, basically, if you show up to a GP with no deck and only a stone deck, you can be a control player. Call Stone Pass. So
Takes
going
more
for the
skill,
Raise and
man.
Revive. No Kaguya here. Going for the Dark Alice. Probably putting a Kaguya in grave off of the Dark Alice. If I had to guess, draw, discard. Probably put some fodder for the Forest of the Lost off of the Dark Alice trigger. I mentioned this on a previous stream. This is one of the things that Adam does, or what Misty Woods can do for a player that understands their whole play line, is they can disguise a lot of their spells, right? So when you have the ability to play colorless out of your grave, and you have 7 cards in hand, and you're playing cards that allow you to instant speed pitch to your grave, you can hide some of your cards that you're looking for. So looks like we didn't discard anything. Am I missing what happened there? What did he discard? What did you discard? So maybe he hasn't discarded yet. Maybe he held priority. Played a Dark Alice.
Hey, I'm responding. I'm casting the Kaguya in response to the effect of Dark Alice.
I got you. So you held.
So I held priority after the Dark Alice resolved, and in
Yeah.
response to the Dark Alice effect, I cast Kaguya.
I got you.
Just clearing that up.
Got you.
Okay.
I mean, I thought that was kind of the only reason, but like, I don't know
Yeah.
why he would. I don't know what the reason for that is. Oh, that's cute. Did you guys see what he just did? He just Kaguya twice. So like, by playing from hand and being it one of the pitches, so like essentially he valued the Kaguya twice, right? So knowing that it was going to be one of his discards off of Alice anyway, he plays it. Okay, so instead of discarding from hand and reanimating for one Kaguya, he plays it from hand for one Kaguya, discards off of the Dark Alice, has it in the grave with the Misty Woods for a second Kaguya. That is fucking mental. Good job, Jeremy. Holy shit. Everybody follow that? It's crazy. This man just got extra value by knowing and understanding playlines and stacking and sequencing of events.
Yeah, there's still
Give it a solid 5 out of 10.
Dude, 5 out of 10, my ass. Sometimes casual Jeremy needs credit. And right there, that man deserves credit. He's a spike. You heard it here first. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Jeremy's a spike. He might play like a casual. He's a spike. So furry balls. There was Dark Alice entered the field. Okay, so when Dark Alice resolves, the inner effect goes on the chase. Dark Alice's inner effect is to draw and discard or banish. Draw, discard, or banish, right? So in response to that inner effect, what he did was he plays a Kaguya from his hand to cancel the spell, which is what we knew he was going to do anyway. There were two options there. He could have either just left it in his hand, pitched it with the Dark Alice, draw, pitch, draw, use one of his Misty Woods to get it back from the grave to the field. Then he cancels. But what Jeremy did was he knew that he could just banish it from the field, right? So instead of discarding from hand, he could discard from the field. So he just plays it from his hand in response to his own Dark Alice trigger, cancels the spell, and then banishes it with the Dark Alice. So, end result, 2 will is tapped, the Kaguya still canceled the spell, just like we wanted, but he didn't have to use a Misty Wood to do it. So what he did was he just netted himself. He netted himself still.
It was Raise and Revive.
Okay.
Yeah. So, God, and all that explaining, we went into turn, recovered. Okay. So still in Patrick's turn, we have the ability to Kaguya whenever we need to. Super smart. Isis, how did that Isis stick? We just hard casted that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless. Yeah, we just hard cast it. Yep. And now we've got the Niara with the tap.
So what do we got so far? We've got just the 2 Isis out of deck. We've got 3 Narlas. So Jeremy wouldn't cancel that second Isis because, I don't know, So, like, where Isis is threatening, remember, Isis is in the win con. Narla's the win con, right? So, Isis isn't going to kill you. Narla's going to kill you. So, knowing that he only has one shot of interaction for this turn, he's going to let his opponent play it out for as long, and he'll step in when he absolutely has to. And when you're the control player, you don't want to be tapped out early in your opponent's turn. You know what I mean? So, like, if he would have canceled that Isis, we'd be sitting on 3 will to potentially raise and revive, to potentially do whatever we wanted to do, right? The only thing that we're giving them is 1 Narla and some use of these, right? So I think that was a good use, or I think that was good on him not to cancel that right away. He's still not in a super powerful position. Remember, last game went for about an hour, right? And we saw Isis get him down to about 16 or so life. But we get to a point where Zeus Alice gets online, and so you got to be really picky about what you're fighting over, right? And against Isis, handling Isis now isn't the same way that we handled Isis in the last format. Kagian and Isis was like a no-brainer in the previous format. Now, though, there's a lot more low-cost threats and reanimations that you have to play around that we just didn't have a couple months ago. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
We've got the Izanami, we've got Isis herself, you've got the Raise and Revive, and then you've got the Flame King Shout. Do we have anything else? 4 ways to play Isis? Yeah, 4.
Yes.
Still want Rukeg in here. I want to search my Isis.
Yeah, so March of the Dead there were many ways to get a Narla on the field, and I think we had 2 moons, right? So, like, his field, if he played the Kaguya, Kaguya gets mooned, Dark Alice gets mooned, Burial Rites happens, right? And then Adam's back at square one. So, Jeremy just knowing, and that's another thing that, like, you have to do is you have to play enough of these games to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And while Isis is just smacking you in the face for 7 turns, like, I know that feels uncomfortable, right? And resolving an Isis feels uncomfortable, but you just got to play enough to know in a certain matchup that, like, all right, look, this isn't going to kill me. This is going to hurt, but it's not going to kill me right now, and this isn't exactly what I need to answer. How many times in a game of Force of Will have you ever looked back in hindsight and been like, fuck, that wasn't what I needed to answer. It was this other thing that happened that you did later in your turn. I've done it to players multiple times. I'll throw some less important stuff out that I really don't care about, make you answer that, and then I get into the real nuts of really beating you down with the rest of my turn. And so
Furballs was talking about, if you're the Adam player, do you always keep a Dark Alice in hand? You don't really need to when you have Misty Woods on field, but I mean, obviously Misty Woods preferably isn't going to be used for Dark Alice. You'd rather use a Kaguya, but you don't necessarily need to keep a Dark Alice in hand.
Yep. So, yeah, doing a very good job there. You try to keep a Dark Alice in hand. Like, Dark Alice for you, when you get one Adam Engrave, you're not really wasting your Dark Alices so much. You don't care about the mana fixing as much with a Misty Woods on the field. It's just really to battle, like, or protect your grave, right? So Kaguya on the Burial Rites, pretty much a no-brainer. Took him off of any 3-drop plays, so that's a little bit of a shame, but man, are we getting to... So Narla's getting in for 10, potentially shoot the blocker.
So we do have a question in the chat asking why we aren't playing Invitation to Purgatory in the rune deck for Isis.
2 black.
Yeah, it's 2 black. You have to get the Fiery Vengeance Angel on field to play it.
Which means you have to do the 1 Scorched Veil at least, right? And so we're only running, like, only 40% of our deck does black, so to hit double black in an early manner to get value off of that, you just you don't like it. Plus, you're not doing a lot of like pay life stuff to really get Satan. So like, really, when you're playing Invitation, you're kind of playing the Satan route too a little bit. So just it doesn't work in this deck.
Between Dark Alice and Guinevere, you're able to draw deep enough to dig them out of your deck, and then you're able to discard them anyway with their effects. So you don't really need to waste a rune to do that. And you have better runes now. We actually have really good runes with Godly Aura and Whispers of an Angel and other... I can't even remember what the other 3 runes are right now that Pat's playing.
Uh-oh. We've gotten into trouble here.
What, the 2 will versus...
No,
7 will for
Isis
Isis?
is just relentless right now, and I don't think Adam has the answers that he needs. See, I expected...
I didn't see the life.
Oh yeah, no, the life is just drained, but Raise and Revive here, but then Mind Like Still Water. There it is.
Mind Like Still Water.
And then there it is. Shoot the blocker out of the way. There's nothing Adam can do. I don't know why he tried to cancel that spell. So we're gonna have to tell them that like they can't go to game 3. Yeah. So let me jump in here. Sup, guys?
Hey,
do you want us to play game 3?
I apologize, you can't.
But yeah,
we can't play game 3.
You can't play game 3.
Dude, you've been playing for an hour and a half.
That's fine.
That's fine, except that like
fine.
we have
How
a
is okay? How is it a gauntlet? Okay, fine. Okay.
Hour and a half. Hour and a half.
Okay. Bye.
You couldn't.
So then,
Bye.
okay. So technically, in a tournament, Adam has won this match, right?
Yes, technically.
So
in
technically,
a
Adam has won the match in time 50. That's important to recognize. So like, I say
in
that.
time, you
hold on,
got
hold on.
game 1 because
So I'm gonna.
I don't have a reason to main deck Burial Rites.
See, but that, and I've talked about that in chat though. I think there is a reason. I could be wrong though. I mean, you're playing Dark Alice and you're playing Gwen, and the 2 biggest decks that we worry about are Adam and Perfect Loki, which both play out of the grave.
I guess.
I think you do it.
One.
I could be wrong though.
I could main deck 1, I guess. I'm already playing. I should be playing 41 cards, but apparently I'm missing a Desert Miner.
My boy. All right, going to commentary.
Just happened.
All right, sorry about that.
It's all good. I was just explaining how the big takeaway message from this match is that 101s are still very much possible in this meta, so people need to be careful.
Oh, absolutely. That
And
first round, like, and this is one of the things that like we talked about in the last gauntlet. Like Adam can just hold you until it's ready to kill you.
Right, exactly. And so I just wanted to point that out because we're not playing the 3rd game, but because I think that's an important takeaway lesson. But thank you guys. Good luck, Patrick, with the rest of the night. I'll see you guys later.
Jeremy.
Bye.
Yeah. Have a nice night.
Patrick, my boy.
Yes.
Dude, that was grindy.
That was grindy as hell.
Well, all right. So just give me a quick little like that match compared to your match in Chicago. How did you feel? Worse or better?
I'm game 1 was still favored with Adam post side. I feel like it's better.
So both of your decks are different from Chicago to now, right? Both the Isis and the Adam deck are optimized a little bit more, right?
Mine's like 7 cards different.
So what are you siding going into game 2 that makes it better for you?
Burial Rites. Sacred Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And
so we were kind of talking about it in the chat. Why are we not maining Burial Rites, or are you just increasing the
that's
count?
That's what we talked about before.
Oh, okay.
We were just talking
Azeg,
about it, like,
have an awesome night, buddy. Thanks for stopping by.
I sided in Sacred Spirits. I sided in Stillwater. I sided in Burial Rites. And sided out Minerva's 2 Awakenings.
Okay.
Izanami, I think another card.
All right.
All right, so yeah, so maybe something we got to think about for Isis against this match is like how many minutes do we play before we scoop and go to game 2? Yeah, that'll be something we got to work on next. And how many Burial Rites are remaining?
I wanted to play out game 1 just to see where it went.
No, absolutely. I'm speaking out loud because I'm still considering Isis for Canada, so I'm thinking out loud.
So actually, a cute thing that was in game 1 when he swung into my Isis with the Zalus, I had 2 Fallen Angels engraved, so I could have paid 4 and killed my own Isis to keep him from draining 10, and he would have been at 6 life that turn, but it still missed lethal.